So, a lot of great blasts from the past for me, personally, because it looks so cool. When these shows were new, I remember these were such a different thing from the old classic Looney Tunes. And now I watch this now and I'm like, oh my god, these are like classics in their own way. I like didn't think of it that way. I mean, seeing the wonky buildings and seeing the paper look of it, you know, it's refreshing. I think if I didn't say it already, that's the word I would use to describe the whole project. So tell us about how this kind of came to be. Did Nickelodeon, I don't really know anything about it, did Nickelodeon come to you, or were you pitching them? Or?
I got a call one day. I was working on the pilot for my series I'm doing now, a PBS show, and I got a call from Chris Viscardi, and he said, would you be interested in coming back and doing a special? And it was the farthest thing from my mind. It was not anything. I mean, I knew that Rocko was like starting to gain, it actually had more traction as years went on than it did when it was originally out. So I called Martin Olson, who was one of the writers, and on the original Rocko, and Doug Lawrence, you know Doug. And they were like, yeah, you know, I think it'd be good. We could come up with something that's relevant now. You know, it's modern life, you know. So I started thinking about it, so I came up with this idea for the story. And Doug and Martin and I kicked up the story a bit more. And then when we did the storyboard, Tom Smith and Dan Becker, who's here today, they were storyboard guys, and Cosmo, and we beefed up the story even more. And these guys, Tom Smith is like the biggest Rocko geek. And he knew more about Rocko than I did. I would go to him and ask him questions about characters. So if you guys notice, you might have to watch it a couple times, but there's like a gazillion inside jokes about this.
Fan service is the word there.
So yeah, that's how I went by. And Nickelodeon was great.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed myself.
And I love the story because I actually think it's more modern and relevant even this minute than it was probably when you finished making the film. Because I'm thinking of things like the fact that The Lion King is back. All this stuff from the 90s is kind of coming back, and this like addresses that, which is amazing to me, actually. Well, I mean,
well, yeah. We're always in an influx of change, right? I mean, and then we're always holding on to things that we're familiar with. So it all kind of conflicts with each other.
Yeah.
So that was really what we were addressing.
I mean, you've, in your professional work, in your career beyond Rocko, because you've done other series and shows and things, films beyond that show, and your style evolved. And here you are, again, not to dwell on it, but you're throwing back to it. So that's obviously the theme of the film. What was it like getting back? Obviously, you hired some of the old crew and a lot of great new people to surround yourself with. You know, obviously at some point you were in the thick of this movie. You know, you probably had, I'm imagining, but you had the studio going and everybody's working on it in different phases and stuff. And here you are back doing it again after all these years. What was that like? And of course later recording with some of the people again.
Yeah, it was great. They all jumped right back into it, and they're all amazing. Tom Kenny and Carlos Alazraki and Charlie Adler. Linda Wallen, who does Dr. Hutchinson, we had to find. We lost track of her, so we had to go search her out and find her. Yeah, we had Adriana Galvez, who did backgrounds on Rocko. She came back to do it, and George Sheltis, who was also a timing director, he did the timing direction.
So the lettering, is that your handwriting? The lettering is all the same.
Yeah, it's mine.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, at the end credits is the same cell that we used. I did that cell.
Wow.
And I had it in storage.
Wow. And so you got to keep that stuff.
I brought it out. Yeah, I don't know where it is now. Sold it on eBay, I think.
This is so geeky, but on the big screen, I noticed it looked like a Xerox line. You know what I'm talking about? Or is that just the way it is, and I just don't know what I'm... the original show was done with cells and Xeroxes. Couldn't be, right?
Did we pull that off? That's cool.
Yeah, you did. Well, at least on the big screen, you can see it.
No, we tried really hard to make it look exactly like the old.
Yeah.
And Cosmo Singerson, who was the co-director, is sitting right over there. We were in Korea, and we wanted, and all the animations done with pencil, and we wanted to make sure that it was done with pencil. And then we were looking at some Xerox samples, and Cosmo brought it up that it doesn't look like the way it was on the show. Can we get, you know, better Xerox? So all the backgrounds were all done in Dr. Martin Dies. Jessica Yost is here. She's our art director. Or she was not the art director. She's color stylist. Paul Spence is our art director. And we made sure that everything looked.
You see it work?
I'm glad.
I looked at it
No, we actually did put cell shadows in, like the Fathead stuff. We put, and then this is a funny story because we first got some film back. I said, "What is wrong with this?" And someone goes, "It's HD, Joe." I had never seen Rocko in HD, so I thought it was so we dirtied it up.
I mean, HD is just today's version of what was in the old days 35mm film, and I remember your original films, and I remember seeing the show when it first went on, and this, you nailed it, you got it, you know.
Good, we did a good job.
The stuff at the beginning where he's looking at very quickly at the changes that happen. I particularly like he went back to the comic book store. Oh, there are still comic book stores.
Yeah, change was hard for Rocko. Yeah. Heifer embraced it, and Filbert liked it. I knew Filbert was going to be like a total technology geek. Like, he really loved it. So
the doors, is the door open for more, possibly?
I think, yeah, I mean, I'm open to it, and if anybody else is. The fans have power!
Yes!
I think we're going to see how this does.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really glad it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
I think that's really a great home for it.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately our time's up.
Yeah.
So, Joe, spectacular job, really. Seriously great. And I can't wait to see what you're doing next. And thank you for coming here today.